you at all worried about whether or not your information is being protected? Quick question, do you think that the government's doing enough to protect your privacy? Can you tell me whether or not you're worried at all about whether or not your information is being protected properly by the government?
I am actually worried, yeah, because I hear a lot of stuff is going on, like a lot of incidents with people. They kind of lose their stuff.
It depends. I haven't really, to be completely honest with you, given it much thought. I think you have to be very careful with what type of information you make available to people, whether it's on internet, Facebook, Twitter, what have you.
I should be more worried than this, yeah.
How private is private information, really? And how come Canadians aren't more concerned about information privacy? We know that privacy is a very vital part to a healthy democracy, yet we have less of it now than ever before. Find out what we can do to safeguard our privacy and protect those who reveal their transgressions. Tonight we're going to tackle the issue of information privacy, why it matters and why you should care, and what are the things that are important surrounding it.
The issues of the day that I think have drawn folks out tonight have to do with surveillance by the state, with a particular emphasis on the activities of the National Security Agency, or the NSA, as revealed by Edward Snowden, a whistleblower, and a man who I think we all owe a debt of gratitude to.
So in general, Steve, why is information privacy a concern?
Well, to reframe that a little bit, it's all about the individual, the right of you and myself and others, the viewers, to control the personal information that we have, to exercise choices about that, and to have some say in how our information is used. That's the key issue here, is personal choice and personal freedom.
That is this notion that privacy is about hiding or secrecy, that if you have nothing to hide, you've got nothing to worry about. And that's the wrong take on privacy. Privacy is really about individual dignity, the individual dignity and worth of each human being. And privacy is a right that is connected to a whole series of rights that have emerged over the last couple of millennium around the inherent worth and dignity of the individual.
Whistleblower protection it's a pretty simple thing. We're protecting free speech rights, occupational free speech right. It's a charter right, it's a constitutional right. We tend to forget that in Canada. We have to have a law that provides no loopholes, basically, in what can be disclosed. So you should be able to disclose on any issue of wrongdoing to any party and at any time.
Anonymity is actually not something that a lot of whistleblowers are seeking. What they are seeking is the right to blow the whistle in the public interest and not have to be crucified for that. So it's not about anonymity, it's about implementing laws that protect them, changing public perception, and ultimately holding accountable those that are the masterminds behind the wrongdoing.
I don't think this government would be very interested in protecting whistleblowers in terms of what the bureaucracy is like. We've had different examples before in terms of, you know, the bureaucracy with respect to veterans, etc. And I'd like to see them mention it. You know, the Canadian government hasn't mentioned anything of that sort, so I don't really see where to start.
I'm the executive director of a small charity called FAIR. That stands for the Federal Accountability Initiative for Reform. We take calls from a very large number of people, emails and calls, who contact us wanting to know more. About half of these calls are from whistleblowers.
Is there any concern about what kind of information is tracked online in terms of buying habits or information that goes across the internet?
Well, it's much more extensive than buying habits. In fact, the American authorities, and it's probably the same in Canada, have access to every form of electronic communication that we engage in, whether it's landline, cellular, Skype, They have access to our browsing habits on the internet. They have access to our smartphones and the data that is on there. There's no part of our lives that they cannot get into, unfortunately. And so the scope for misuse of this is considerable.
Did you know that, well, in the United States at least, Edward Snowden revealed that all your cell phone usage is being collected on a very grand scale. Are you aware of something like that in Canada?
Why? Do I like it? Not particularly, no. I think that's pretty crappy. I'm just more curious as to why someone wants to know what I'm doing on my cell phone.
Would it concern you if I told you, for example, your cell phone data is being tracked and how you use it, where you are, how long you talk to people?
I mean, absolutely. That said, though, I don't have any particular concerns as far as if you don't have anything to hide. I don't know if I'm the target, if my information is really what they're looking for. Maybe. I don't know.
Once somebody, a government organization, has your personal information, particularly when you don't know they have that personal information, you're left at a disadvantage to hold them to account for how they use it. So they might misuse it in the form of what are known as false positives. The classic example of that in Canada, recent history, is of course the treatment of someone like Mahar Arar, who gets associated with wrongdoing wrongly, is identified with that wrongdoing, and suffers serious adverse consequences as a result of that misidentification of him being a suspect. So there's a false positive problem.
I'm curious, I'd like to, my preference would be for Canadian politicians and officials to come out and protect individual rights in a libertarian fashion, but I don't particularly think they will.
Citizens are supposed to have privacy in respect to the government. That's the general framework. So it's not that we have to show that we have something to hide or don't have something to hide. We have a right to control and limit the use of our personal information until government justifies its collection of our information. We have to reverse the question, not do I have anything to hide, does government have a justification for looking into my personal information or your personal information?
We now know that protecting whistleblowers is a very important part of accountability and protecting our privacy. We really shouldn't have to give up liberty in the name of security. Make sure you follow us on Twitter for upcoming topics and events, and make sure you let us know what topics are of interest to you. We'll see you next time.